I have an article here from thatparkplace.com. New Nielsen data shows massive decline in watch time for The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power between Season 1 and Season 2. Nielsen reported back in 2022 that following the show's 2-episode premiere, that it brought in 1.253 billion minutes watched. Now the Season 2 3-episode premiere only brought in 1.015 billion minutes watched, as noted by X-User, now it's known. Here's the actual chart itself. I mean, The Rings of Power, relative to some of these other shows that have way more episodes, pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to act as if The Rings of Power is a complete failure. It's a complete bomb. It's not doing all that. It's not doing as good as it did before. Now, you can get into the specifics of whether or not it's whether it's terrible or just bad. But anyway, as it says here, if you do a simple straight up comparison between the numbers, the Season 2 numbers are 18.9% lower than Season 1. However, they had a 3-episode premiere for Season 2 compared to a 2-episode premiere for Season 1. As it says here, for the first season, it is a total runtime of 132 minutes for its premiere, whereas the second season had a runtime of 204 minutes. If you divide the total minutes watched by the runtime for the first season, it comes out to around 9.4 million views. If you do the same calculation for the second season, it comes to 4.9 million views. It's a 47% decline. So yeah, things are not looking good in that aspect at all. That decline closely matches up with what fellow analytics firm Samba TV reported following the 3-episode premiere. It reported that the show's debut episode, for the first season, was watched by 1.8 million U.S. households over 4 days. Beginning of this month, Samba TV revealed that the season 2 premiere was only watched by 902,000 households over 5 days. That's a decline of 49.8%. Again, not looking good. None of this is surprising. Kim Masters at The Hollywood Reporter, she revealed in 2023 that only this is actually kind of a jangled or bungled or whatever, dialogue. But anyway, it says 69 or 63% of individuals who watched part of the show's premiere back in 2022 did not complete the show. So it had a 37% domestic completion rate, customers who watched the entire series. For those outside the United States, completion rate was higher. Overseas, it reached 45%. A 50% completion rate would be a solid but not spectacular result, according to insiders. So not only did the show lose massive numbers of viewers between Season 1 and 2, but it's losing them rather rapidly from episode to episode of Season 2. Luminate, a data analytics firm, reported the show only garnered 63.2 million in its first week, albeit it only tracked a single day, given the Rings of Power's release time. In the second week, the firm reported it only garnered 764.7 million minutes watched. For the third week, it declined to 372.7 million minutes watched, 51% less than the previous week. It's declined even further, with the fourth week only bringing in 346 million minutes watched, a decline of 7%. So things keep going down, and it's not looking, very good. As it says here, it's highly likely the show's viewership will continue to decline as the show is anything but The Lord of the Rings, and it appears the showrunners have an actual malice against J.R.R. Tolkien and his works. The most recent piece of evidence of this is that Galadriel romantically kiss Elrond in the most recent episode. For those unfamiliar with Tolkien's Legendarium, Elrond is Galadriel's son-in-law. He marries Galadriel and Celeborn's daughter, Celebrian. So yeah, in other words, and there's the quick chart of that. Real quick, I mean, if you really want to start, like, as you see here, there's Galadriel, Elrond kissing, like, huh? Trying to go Game of Thrones on us? Anyway, that's when the article ends. I'll link this in the description box. You can read it for yourself, or if I happen to go through the numbers too much, or if I misspoke at some point. But point is, the numbers are down. Now, we don't know the true numbers as it mentions here, when it's talking about the Kim Masters. Amazon, like other streamers, provides only limited data, and internally it held information even more closely than usual on the series. But then her sources confirmed it had a 37% domestic completion rate. So we don't know the exact numbers, but at the same time, when you're talking about your Nielsen, your Samba and stuff, their collection methods and stuff don't change. So you can at least compare the numbers from season 1 to season 2. Because even if those numbers are wrong, the method hasn't changed. And the method shows that the numbers are down by a large margin. I mean, to see a 47% decline from season to season, that's terrible. I mean, I understand there's always going to be some drop off because for whatever reason, there's people who, well, I'll watch episode whatever, but I'm not going to watch the next one. I'll watch episode 3, but I'm not going to watch 4. And then I'll watch 5, and yada yada. You see that more with like network shows where it's not integral to, like watch every single episode, like the old school, whether you're talking like Gunsmoke, you're talking like the Chicago Fire, the Grey's Anatomy, those kind of shows. You don't have to watch every single episode, although you probably should. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't really watch. I watched old Gunsmoke episodes when I was younger. But anyway, regardless, the point is you're seeing people like tuning out to large degrees. Now, I personally know someone who is into Lord of the Rings, who basically lies to himself and is able to somehow watch the show and kind of enjoy it. But that's because he basically looks at it like there's very, very little out there for him in terms of shows he wants to watch. So that's kind of what leads to the aspect of talking himself into maybe not enjoying it, but tolerating the show. I think The Rings of Power is just, I mean, if I were to give a personal review to it, I would say don't watch it. Don't waste your time if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. If you're a fan, even if you're not a fan of Lord of the Rings, I still wouldn't recommend the show because it's poorly written, poorly acted, in my opinion. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to acting by any stretch of the imagination, but just some of the stuff just doesn't come across as done well to me. Regardless, some of the action scenes and stuff, I could say, okay, some of the action scenes are done well, some of them are done terribly, but whatever. Anyway, it's just enough rambling. I'll wrap this up here just by saying that this is terrible, terrible news. If you're seeing so much decline, 47% here, 49% there, you're seeing episode to episode declines. That's telling you that the people aren't liking what they're seeing. But anyway, like I said, I'll link this in the description box. You can read it for yourself. Thank you very much for watching.